Mysterious cities of Asia. Today, a visit to the Chinese capital, Beijing. The Forbidden City was once the home of emperors. In the numerous alleyways that surround it, some imperial traditions still live on. Contests between fighting crickets were enjoyed by generations of emperors. Even members of the former imperial family still live in this maze-like vestige of a bygone era. Today, we go in search of some increasingly rare scenes in the ancient alleyways of Beijing. Beijing, capital of China. Modernization and redevelopment are being pushed through at a rapid pace. But just off the main streets, many ancient alleyways still survive. It's 7 in the morning. Deep amid the alleyways, an antiques market is about to open. Every morning, more than 300 vendors set up shop here. Most of the items on sale turned up in the alleyways as they were demolished to make way for redevelopment. All sorts of items of historical interest stream into the market. Many of these antiques testify to the wealth of the old imperial capital.
This is a jade snuff bottle. I got it from an old woman who collects discarded odds and ends in the alleys. It dates from the Qing dynasty.
This is a Qing dynasty lock. It's inscribed with the words, "To prosperity and a ripe old age." These antiques have been passed down from generation to generation by people living in the alleys.
At one time, some of these items may even have belonged to the imperial family itself.
This is high-quality Ming Dynasty jade. I bought it from an old man in the alleys. There are 5 toes on each of the front feet of the 2 dragons. This design was exclusive to the imperial family. Various goods make their way onto the market from the back streets of Beijing. They're all genuine antiques.
The alleyways are called hutong in Chinese. The population of Beijing is about 7 million. The hutong bustle with life, and the people who live in them are very attached to this traditional environment. There's a maze of over 1,300 of these alleyways, big and small. It's said that if all the hutong were joined together, they would be as long as the Great Wall of China. Ironmaker Alley is where the blacksmiths used to live and work. Rice Storage Alley was lined with rice granaries during the Ming Dynasty. Each hutong has its own tale to tell. The hutong are home to 1,000-year-old traditions. At least one such tradition was an imperial pursuit. Gong Zhongen is in his early 60s. His friends refer to him as the King of the Crickets. Cricket fights were the favourite pastime of the emperors. Gong prepares his prize cricket for this evening's match. The key to a strong cricket is water. Gong adds some herbal medicines to the drinking water for his crickets. Shou is for youthful vitality. Gusuibu is for strength. Altogether, 8 herbs are added to the mix. The use of human herbal medicines to feed fighting crickets also dates back to imperial times.
Lots of different techniques are used in a cricket fight, and that makes them very interesting. It's like a fight between two people. And crickets have dignity too. They only sing when they win a fight. Crickets know what it is to be ashamed.
Gong's pride and joy is a Ziazu cricket, caught in Shandong province. This kind of cricket is rare, 1 in 1,000, they say. Gong says that Ziazu crickets were given as gifts to the emperors.
Cricket! 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 Where's the cricket?
He is my friend, Your Majesty. Safe and warm.
The last emperor of the Qing dynasty, Pu Yi,
Be
loved
company
cricket
on the long
fights.
journey here.
This book on crickets was written by a close aide to an emperor 800 years ago. It describes in detail which types of cricket make good fighters. Head like a dragonfly, harmonious colour and shape. Examine the head, neck and body. If it has a long tail and long antennae, the cricket will be strong. It's evening, and the men have gathered with their favourite crickets. The cricket fight is about to start. To begin with, the crickets are placed facing each other in their battleground, a glass container. Gong Zhongen will be using his champion Zuyadzu. The cricket's main weapons are its sharp mandibles. They are used to bite the opponent. They use various techniques, including throws and kicks. During the fight, drinking, smoking, and even talking are all banned. The match ends either when one of the crickets is thrown or when one of them runs away. The victory cry echoes through the futon.
The story of the ancient city of Beijing begins 3,000 years ago when the king of Yan, Shaogong, established his capital here. In the heart of the Forbidden City stands the imperial throne, seat of China's absolute ruler. Beijing was the imperial capital, and at its heart was the imperial throne. The hutong came into existence about 700 years ago. They date to the time in the Yuan dynasty when Kublai Khan founded his capital, Dadu. The hutong were added like squares on a checkerboard. Through the Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties, the hutong spread out around the Forbidden City. To the north were the political quarters. To the south, the commercial district which supported the lives of the capital's citizens. With the help of a Qing dynasty map and old pictures, the hutong of 100 years ago come to life again. Shops sold gold and silver, tobacco, musical instruments, and more than 80 other kinds of goods. Peddlers came here from the surrounding countryside. They used various street cries depending on what they sold: bean curd, artificial flowers, sweets. Now we're entering a hutong in the residential district. The voices of the peddlers echo through the neighborhood. Children gather to watch a puppet show. The culture of Beijing was born in the hutong, and that is where it grew and flourished.
An eerie sound passes overhead, leading us to discover another tradition of the hutong. The sound is made by whistles attached to pigeons. This tradition began with a variety of whistles made by soldiers of the Imperial Army.
别上了，给这别让它出漏了，给我下来，哎，这别好了，就这样。好听啊，这100来年了。 从清朝到现在，一直就是这样，这100多年的东西了。这胳膊。
Wang Hai Chuan plies his wares from a bicycle cart. He's been at it for nearly 60 years. Doju is made from fermented soy milk. It's a favorite with the people of Beijing. It was on the menu during the Qing dynasty.
过去您知道这个皇上吃没吃这个？
皇上吃啊，你吃啊，西太后，发明由西太后那发明的。
Wang Hai Chuan knows many other peddlers' cries.
橘子蜜柑，砂棍人丹，人丹白货，还有青果，葡萄园里还有陈皮，开口尾巴的去鹅尾，小时代花水。也就是我这样的能吆喝，现在小年轻的哪也不会吆喝。
Today, the hutong are disappearing one after another as part of Beijing's redevelopment program. In July 2001, Beijing was awarded the 2008 Summer Olympic Games. This has helped to speed up the demolition. It's probably the biggest demolition project in the city since Beijing was founded. This sign says, to be demolished. Except for specially designated areas, everything around here will be torn down. The Zhongyi-Tzu Theatre stands in the heart of the Hutong district. Built in 1712, the theatre is nearly 300 years old. During the Qing dynasty, a new form of traditional entertainment was born in the imperial capital, Beijing Opera. Beijing Opera evolved in response to what the audiences enjoyed seeing. This young actress is Tang Hexiang. She comes from a Beijing opera family. Tang Hexiang's mother, Bai Yuling, and her father, Tang Yunxiong, were both performers in the old days. The Tang family live in a house with a courtyard. This type of building is called Suheyuan. The Suheyuan style, with buildings on four sides defining a central space, has a history of 3,000 years. Here, in this old-fashioned setting, the Tang family struggles to preserve the traditions of the Beijing opera. The family moved into this Suheyuan 50 years ago. The courtyard is used for rehearsals.
走，回来，这样，要不然你老不使腰，这咱们自个儿也得这么说。使出腰来，把这点等于是这样，这儿你这腰就出去了，这么走就好看了。
嘚儿哒，咯儿滴，嘚儿哒，咯儿滴，嘚儿哒哒哩哒，啦哒哩哒，啦哒哩哒，啦哒哩哒。
This courtyard will soon be torn down.
蹲，起。
北京它主要就是胡同四合院，是吧？总觉得住在这儿呢比较安静，也比较心里头比较踏实，比较舒服，比住楼房要舒服得多。这个一拆了以后，这种建筑就越来越少了。作为我这心里边是挺留恋，也挺遗憾。现在是怎么说呢？住一天少一天了。
我们家这块地比较得天独厚，就是父母亲要是给我说点什么戏啊，就院子说去，就在院子里边就说了。而且呢，从我父亲那儿来讲，他对这个院子也有一种，因为他那会儿也在这儿也练嘛，感受就是，我觉得我们家这院子是一块宝地。
Tang Yunxiong did rehearse in the courtyard back in the days when he was a performer. But although his ambition was to star in the Beijing opera, it was not to be. His dream was destroyed by the Cultural Revolution. Beijing opera, Qingchu, was a symbol of traditional culture, so it became a victim of the campaign. In its place, so-called model operas were devised. Traditional Beijing opera was banned outright. This is Tung Yunxiong at that time. He was known for his falsetto singing voice, an essential feature of Beijing opera. But falsetto singing was banned during the Cultural Revolution. Items relating to the traditional arts were confiscated from the hutong and burned.
These are recordings of Beijing opera. I hid them while all the turmoil was going on.
Tung Yunxiong needed the records to study when practicing his falsetto singing. If the records had been found, he would have been in serious trouble. But his secret rehearsals were all in vain. After 10 years of the Cultural Revolution, he found he could no longer sing falsetto.
After 3个多月了，天天早晨5点多钟，那时候我们都住在一起，自己就找一个僻静的地方去练习，但是不行，怎么找也找不回来了，觉得很遗憾，反正有一种怎么说呢，有一种失落感吧。
Today, Tung Yunxiong dreams of stardom for his daughter instead.
I 我父亲需要我继承的呢，就是还是不但要继承下来，而且要就是更好的体现那些好的东西。这个东西就是还是对我要求比较严格，主要就是一些这个，作为传统戏来讲，就是一些比较精华的东西吧。
我觉得为什么京剧发源地在北京呢？这就可以说到咱们的胡同了，说到院子了。因为北京的文化的内涵总体是在于人民当中，在老百姓当中。它这个东西能够受到普通老百姓的欢迎，就是不单不应该把它丢掉，应该好好的把它继承下来，不断的发展，不断的创新，不断的提高，能够把它流传下去。
A rich culture flourished in the Hutong.
风雨火。
The old capital reached the height of its prosperity during the final dynasty, Qing. Music, theatre, and other arts were practiced and passed on by imperial retainers. This instrument, the ba jiao, was used to raise the spirits of soldiers on the march. Qian Yadong's father was a member of the Imperial Guard. This is a painting of the wedding of Emperor Guangxu, the 9th emperor of the Qing dynasty. You can see mounted soldiers carrying 8 different flags. On one side, blue, white, red, and yellow flags. Facing them, 4 bordered flags in the same colors. The 8 flags represent the 8 battalions or bachi that served the Qing emperor. The battalions were set up when the Qing dynasty was established by the Manchurians. The bachi were positioned in 8 areas around the imperial palace. They provided a total force of some 300,000 soldiers.
A descendant of one of those soldiers now runs a restaurant at home in a hutong. The restaurant specializes in dishes once served to emperors and their families. The restaurant's owner is Li Shanlin. His grandfather was in the White Banner Battalion and oversaw the preparation of food for the imperial family. Li Shanlin's grandfather served Empress Dowager Cixi, a ruler of immense power. More than 100 cooks prepared her meals. Li Shanlin's grandfather was responsible for the menu.
因为慈禧太后当初表示她的地位、身份、权势，讲究排场。她这个桌子，4个桌子，码的小盘菜，码100几十个，她都能吃了吗？那么大岁数老太太不可能吃那么些个，又是女人，是不是？她只能吃很少一部分。那大部分给谁呢？都给当时在宫里边高级官员了。那当然，我爷爷是尝过吃过的。 那他当然知道这个味道。
These are some of the dishes that were loved by Empress Cixi. The ingredients and presentation exactly reproduce meals that she enjoyed. The Qing dynasty fell, but Li Shanlin's grandfather never forgot the recipes. Even today, only members of the Li family are allowed to prepare these imperial dishes. The recipes are never revealed to outsiders.
这一起太后，很多东西我都听说过，比如说她的吃的东西，她喜欢吃什么样东西，喜欢吃什么样味道，她对于这个口感，跟她的所吃的这个咸淡、甜酸都有什么要求，这我就说有些了解吧。
Among the residents of the Hutong is Pu Ren, a younger brother of China's last emperor, Pu Yi. He lives here with his wife. Aishin Jueluo Puren is now in his 80s. He was 12 years younger than the brother who became the last emperor. Puren's life was transformed by the turbulent modern history of China. He was born in 1918. At that time, the Qing dynasty had already fallen, and China was a republic. The Qing dynasty was founded by Manchurians, and the Aishin Jueluo family had reigned in Beijing for 260 years. Here on the left is Pu Yi, the 10th and last Qing emperor. Even after the fall of the Qing dynasty, Pu Yi was still allowed to live inside his palace. The whole family enjoyed a life of imperial luxury. But then the family's lives changed dramatically. Pu Yi lived in hopes of restoring the Qing dynasty and left to become emperor of Manchukuo in the northeast. Pu Ren stayed behind and sold furniture to make a living.
他投去之前，我父亲都劝过他，说不要受骗上当。他那阵儿还听不下去，后来劝过2次，最后一次还痛哭流涕的劝他不承认，说没那回事儿。忽然有一天他就走了。
Manchukuo finally collapsed with Japan's defeat at the end of the Second World War. In 1949, the People's Republic of China was established. Pu Ren's life as an aristocrat came to an end, and he moved into a hutong. he took solace in painting. Puren's paintings are in the Gongbi style, which dates back over 1,000 years. It's the style he learned at court as a child. He has a treasured possession. It's the family motto, handwritten by his grandfather, Prince Chun, at the end of the Qing dynasty, when it was already collapsing. It says, "Great family wealth wreaks havoc on the next generation." It's an admonition to live simply and avoid unnecessary extravagance.
我觉得经过这个变化是很大，是吧？我出生的时候，这就是民国7年，是吧？民国7年，那时候虽然改民国，小朝廷还存在，在社会上一些不好的风气接触的比较少，所以说还能比较也就养成一个保守的习惯。不但我这子女什么的，现在都老老实实工作，都没有什么在吃喝玩乐上，都没有。
In the Hutong of Beijing, the old imperial city still lives on in people's hearts and minds. About 2 million people have been forced out of central Beijing by the redevelopment program. Many are moving into new apartments. A mass migration from the Hutong has just begun. The Tang family, upholders of the Beijing opera tradition, have been told that they must leave too. They have to complete the move within a month. A photograph was taken in 1950 when the Tang family moved into this very house. It shows Tang Yunsheng, then 5 years old, with his parents and other relatives, all gathered in the courtyard. For Tang Yunsheng, the Hutong alleys were the source of Beijing opera and of life itself.
危旧房改建呢，是北京市政府现在一个很得民心的这么一个政策。所以把危房旧房拆了以后呢，它可以改变你的居住条件，改变你的生活环境，就一直没离开这儿。对这条胡同、这个地区的变化是深有感触的，所以他总归从感情上吧，是留恋，是舍不得。他都退休了。是啊。
Before moving out, the Tang family has issued an invitation to relatives and friends. They are joined by a childhood friend of Tang Yunxiong, who also used to live in the Futong. Tang Yunxiong lost touch with his friend during the Cultural Revolution. Tang Yunxiong himself taught his daughter this song from the Beijing Opera.
你放心，虽然是临时的潍坊改建搬迁一下啊，但是这3个是永远抹杀不了的。人还在，艺术还在，精神还在，完了咱们的友谊还在。只要友谊长存，你甭管走多老远，天涯海角，你找我，我找你，30多年都没找着，咱们这不是都找着了吗？哎，还是找着了，就啊。
Before moving out, the Tang family pose for a photograph with their friends in the old courtyard. After redevelopment, the family hopes to return to this area. Hutong, the alleyways of an ancient capital. By the time the 2008 Olympics come around, redevelopment will have been completed.
Bye bye. Yeah.
Even as the face of the city changes, the people of the Hutong treasure their traditions and continue to try to preserve them. A new chapter is being written in the long and fascinating story of Beijing.